I thought of you. You're one of the first people I thought of after I heard about Bill Walton's passing, and I knew you probably had a bunch of stories. And then I looked at your Instagram at Bilas, and I saw all of them. Did you were you aware of how ill he was, Jay? Was he? Because this one shocked me. I was stunned that he passed.
Yeah, I was aware he wasn't doing well. He hadn't really worked since February, so I knew he was ill. I didn't know the extent of it, and it came as a shock, a heartbreaking shock over the weekend to learn that he had passed. But you knew him, Rich. I mean, there was nobody like Bill Walton. And for a guy like me that grew up in Southern California and started playing basketball when Bill was at UCLA, he was my idol and remained so. And then when I got a chance to work with him at ESPN, I mean, it's pretty rare when your idol exceeds your expectation. Should you ever get the opportunity to meet him or her, and Walton exceeded every expectation I could have ever had for a kind, generous, curious, intelligent, just giving of himself human being. I mean, he was just a marvelous human being. And look. Were there times when we all said, "Man, there's some weird stuff going on with Walton"? I mean, a few years ago, during the pandemic, couldn't do the Maui Invitational in Maui, and Walton didn't go to Vegas to do it. And I remember telling him, "I'm going to miss you, Bill, but the thing I'm really going to miss is the contact high."
Right? Because he always, was that his line that he would say he would never go low because he's always preferred to be high or something like that? Isn't that one of the lines that he would say, Jay?
Well, that's what he said to me in a text message. It was actually a friend of mine named Steve Howard that we went to high school together in Southern California. And Steve's a big Deadhead, so he knew Bill from Dead shows over the last 30-some years. And Steve and I got together and played golf last summer, and we thought, hey, let's send Big Red a video of us, kind of in the golf cart and tell him we're thinking about him. And he texted right back with this thing about, and he called me Jake. He would say, "Steve and Jake, my heroes," and stuff like that. And he said, "Jake talked about going low. I'm more comfortable going high." And, and then it was like, "Thank you for my life." All these different things, and including I'm the luckiest guy in the world. But Rich, like he played for John Wooden and revered Coach Wooden, and he obviously knew that I played for Coach K, and he loved Coach K. And so he told me one time, he said, "Coach K is to you what John Wooden was to me." And then he followed up by saying, "But you were not to Coach K what I was to John Wooden."
That's awesome. That's That's so funny. Oh my gosh! And I remarkably, I didn't put two and two together. You grew up in Southern California, and what he means, because I did get a lot of tweets from people about what he meant to Southern California. For people in San Diego, where he's lived, or here in Los Angeles, where he played, and what he meant, and how he personified it. And a friend of mine reached out to me today because I had no idea he had some working relationship with Bill over the years. He used the perfect phrase. He said, "Bill collected people." That's what he said. Bill collected people. And that one kind of hit me, Jay, when I read that in a text today.
And I think that nails it. One of the things that I think everyone has noticed after Bill's passing in the few days, with all the tributes and all the articles and TV appearances and social media posts, they all basically say the same thing. Uncoordinated, they say the same thing. That he never talked about himself unless you prodded him to tell a story, and he could make the story about someone else, and was unfailingly generous with his time and made you feel like you were the center of the universe. Because it was always difficult to tell what planet Bill was on, so the universe was a good place to be. But he remembered everything. He always stopped and talked to strangers. just this last year, we toured together the burn site in Maui after those horrific fires. And we were the only ones, some of the only ones allowed in there. We were allowed in before the people of Lahaina that had lost their homes. And it was incredibly moving. And there was a cop that had come up to us and didn't know why we were there. And we explained it to him. The cop couldn't have been nicer. But he basically gave us some advice. He said, you guys shouldn't be here. And he says, it's not safe for us to be here. And I'm not sure you should continue to be here. So we heeded that warning. But some of the cops that were there, they wanted their pictures taken with Walton. And he stopped and interacted with them. You would have thought those guys grew up together. He never turned anybody down and always would wrestle a check away from you like he was an MMA fighter, and always paid. But just a generous soul and one of the sweetest human beings I've ever known.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.